Hey everybody, and welcome to the next edition of the Soccer Fitness Goals video blog. Today I'm going to be discussing something that's been on my mind for a long time, and that is the role that a strength and conditioning coach or fitness coach should play in professional and other high-level soccer. So I think it's worth noting, if you didn't already know this, that soccer is not like other sports. And by extension, professional soccer is not like other professional sports. One of the main differences between soccer and other sports is that in soccer, at the highest level, the off-season, and that's the time in which there are no preseason or competitive league or cup matches, is a lot shorter than it is in any other sport. In top-level European soccer, for example, it's not uncommon that a player's off-season might be only about 3 weeks, around the middle to end of July to around the beginning of August. Compare and contrast that to any of the other popular North American sports, baseball, football, basketball, and hockey, and you'll find that all of those have a much longer off-season, often several months. What does this have to do with strength and conditioning and the role of a strength and conditioning coach or fitness coach in soccer? Well, simply put, the focus of a fitness training program that's run by a strength and conditioning coach or fitness coach in soccer, because of the fact that the off-season is so short, it needs to change and it needs to reflect the fact that soccer has such a short off-season and such a long competitive season. So I'm as guilty of this as anybody else, of using the term strength and conditioning coach to describe the work that I do. And part of that is because I am Canadian and I grew up here, and the term strength and conditioning coach is really a North American term to describe fitness coaches that work in sports. And of course, soccer in North America has sort of adopted that term. So that's why I use it. But when I say I'm guilty of it, it's because I don't really like that term. And the reason I don't like the term is because strength and conditioning coach seems to imply that strength is equal to, if not possibly more important, because it's the first word, equal to, if not more important, than conditioning. And again, going back to the context of soccer, the reality is that in soccer, because of the fact that the off-season is so short, we really don't have very much of an opportunity to build and develop strength. Any of the other traditional North American sports, and again, I mentioned football, baseball, basketball, and hockey, they build up their strength, their muscular strength, primarily through weight training and other forms of resistance training. They do that in the off-season. And the reason they're able to do that is because their off-seasons last several months, and any bit of research that you do into the amount of time that it takes to actually make muscles bigger and stronger, you'll see that it takes a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. So that's a couple of months. Soccer players don't have that time. And so all that is going back to the term strength and conditioning coach. I don't like it. I prefer the term fitness coach. And again, if you go anywhere else in the world and you look at soccer, most countries and even most languages, they have their own term for the fitness coach in soccer. I've done a lot of work in South America, primarily in Uruguay. And in South America, in general, in the Spanish language, they have a specific term for fitness coaches in soccer, and it's called preparador físico, which literally means physical preparation coach. If you say that to someone who speaks Spanish, they automatically know what you're talking about. And again, that's because of the soccer context, that you're not a strength coach, you're not someone that's just primarily focused on building strength. You're a physical preparation coach, and your focus is on improving physical condition of soccer players. So why is this topic so important to me? Well, it's because I think here in Canada and in North America, we have too many strength and conditioning coaches that exist in a bit of a bubble where they've only ever trained or been educated in Canada and North America, and because of that, their focus, even when they work in soccer, is way too much on the strength part of strength and conditioning and not nearly enough on the conditioning part of strength and conditioning. And again, going back to the soccer context, your off season is short, and the reality is that when you get even into preseason, you need to train a lot. Most professional teams are training every day. That means a lot of running. That means a lot of stops and starts and changing direction, a very high eccentric load. And that means that because of all that training and all that eccentric loading and everything else that you're doing, that the muscles, and specifically the muscles in the legs, are going to be very sore. All of that means that you're not likely to have more than 1 day per week in a professional environment that you can devote to weight training. So again, the focus of a fitness coach, or a strength and conditioning coach, if you want to use that term in soccer, is going to be much more on the aspects of fitness that you have much more control over, which is the conditioning part, developing and improving players' endurance, speed endurance, lactic acid tolerance, and speed and power. Those aspects of physical fitness can be trained several days a week and incorporated into the training and the work that's done on the field. But unfortunately, too many North American-based strength and conditioning coaches that are, again, in that bubble where they're thinking too much about the other North American sports, they're focused way too much on strength training, and they are not able to provide professional soccer players with the right training that they need to really improve. So what are the consequences of a fitness coach or a strength and conditioning coach focusing too much on strength? Well, what I see all around me, unfortunately, is that a lot of strength and conditioning coaches are basically just repetition counters, meaning they take a group of athletes, they teach them how to do some of the basic power lifts and other lifts that involve an Olympic barbell, for example, a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, maybe a split squat, maybe some of the Olympic lifts. And once they've taught their athletes how to do these lifts, all of the work that they do is them in the weight room counting the number of repetitions that the athletes do and taking notes on them. And again, this is not to imply that weight training, powerlifting, all those things are not important for soccer. This is simply to say that if your title is strength and conditioning coach or fitness coach, but all you do is stay in the weight room and count repetitions, then to me, you are a repetition counter. You're not a strength and conditioning coach. You're not a fitness coach. And definitely, if you ever have to leave here and go and work in a professional environment somewhere else, you're not a preparador físico. You're not a physical preparation coach, because you don't have the knowledge, the background, and the experience to be able to take care of the other part of strength and conditioning, that's conditioning, building endurance, building speed, building up players' energy systems so that they can actually perform and play the game. And you're not able to do that if you're a repetition counter. So in closing, I'd like to urge anybody who is aspiring to work as a strength and conditioning coach or fitness coach in soccer, or anybody who already is working in that capacity here in Canada and North America, to open your mind a little bit, get out of the traditional, conventional North American bubble where you focus primarily on strength training. Stop being a repetition counter and start focusing your time and energy into becoming the best that you can possibly be at improving the conditioning side of soccer players, and specifically that means the aerobic and the anaerobic energy systems. So that's it for the Soccer Fitness Goals video blog for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, if you haven't already done so, please remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can do so with the link below me now. And if you'd like to download the Soccer Fitness Goals mobile fitness app, which is the world's only customized soccer-specific at-home fitness training program, you can do that by clicking the link below me now. We'll see you next week, and until then, keep reaching your soccer fitness goals.